In this video, I'm going to show you how to juggle 3 balls in the Cascade pattern. The Cascade is the essential movement necessary for almost all throws and all catches in juggling. So we're really going to focus on getting this consistent and getting this really solid. So the first thing that you need to know about Cascade is how to set up your hands. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your first 3 fingers in your dominant hand and make a little crab claw. We're going to place the first ball in the crab claw. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our bottom 2 fingers and we're going to place a juggling ball in the palm of your hand held by those 2 fingers. Now it's really important to make sure that the balls aren't touching. The reason why is because if the balls are touching and you try to throw, it could cause some friction and add or take away the spin and make the ball go in an odd direction. So we're going to focus on making sure that everything is separate and not connected. This way we're able to have consistent first throws. Now, in the other hand, we're just going to hold it just like we did with 2. We're just going to put it in the palm of our hand. Now the first thing we're going to work on is our first throw. Now, we're going to get used to dropping. I know this is kind of a weird thing, particularly because we're jugglers and we're trying to not drop, but what we're going to do is we're going to feel comfortable with dropping. And we're going to work on getting consistent throws with our first throw with 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw our first ball, the one that's out on our fingertips, to the peak on the opposite side. It looks like this. Now, check it out. We're not going to catch it. Instead, we're going to allow it to drop. Okay, so check it out. I want you to practice this a couple times. If you need to bend down and grab the ball, you can juggle over a table or you can juggle over your bed. This way you don't need to bend down all the time to pick up your juggling balls. So you want to throw and drop. Make sure that you hit your peak and make sure that you don't throw the ball until you cross the midline. Throw and drop. Now, if you don't hit your peak, make sure that you reestablish the peak and make sure that you hit the peak every time. This is very essential when it comes to consistent juggling and really essential once you start doing tricks. Making sure that you hit your peak and making sure that you're consistent with your throws. If you need to remark, remark. Okay, now we're moving on to the second step. What we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 throws. So it's going to be throw, throw, and catch the first ball that you throw. Get used to throwing the second ball. Throw, throw. Now you don't want to throw the ball until it gets to the peak. A lot of people, they wait until the ball gets close to the hand and then they throw. Instead, what we want to focus on is making sure that we throw it as soon as it hits the peak. Hits the peak and we throw. Now the third ball, we're just going to do what we know from the crisscross move. We're going to do that over and over again. I'll show you what I mean. Instead of 3 throws, we're going to count to 2 just like we did before. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this takes a lot of practice. Don't get discouraged. It takes about an hour to 2 hours of consistent practice to be able to get this down. So this is why it's so essential to have your 1 ball, 2 ball, and now your 3 ball juggling consistent. So what we're going to focus on is hitting those peaks, working on that first throw, and every single time you want to make sure you cross the midline before you throw. If you're throwing over like this, your balls might collide. We want to make sure that everything stays separate. So we're going to cross our midline, hit the peak, make sure that we're focused on the peaks, and have a good base. Consistency is key here, and make sure that you're looking at your peaks. Like I said, this takes a lot of practice, so don't get discouraged. You'll be dropping a lot, but every single time you drop, it's a sign of progress. It means you're learning. If you're not dropping, you're not learning. And it's really important to make sure that you're always learning when it comes to your juggling skills. That's Cascade with 3 balls.